Thank you for the introduction. Assalamu alaikum. A warm welcome to our viewers from at home and across the globe. My name is Khadija Rashid Saredi, a fourth-year electrical engineering student from the University of United Arab Emirates. And I will be moderating today's discussion for the Youth for the Sustainability on Skills and the Future of Work, entitled Reimagining Skills for a Sustainable Future. My guest today oversees skills development and capacity building programs at the Ministry of Education for thousands of students across the UAE. She leads key national initiatives such as the Ambassador Program, the Ambassador Plus Program, and the newly announced Game Changer series, which to date has run 2 programs in sustainability and technology for undergraduate and postgraduate students seeking employment in strategic aligned areas for the UAE economy. I am delighted to welcome the Assistant Undersecretary for Activities and Care Sector at the Ministry of Education, Her Excellency Dr. Amna Dahak Shamsi, to the session. Your Excellency, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Khadija, for the introduction, and a very warm welcome as well to all our viewers and the attendees of the sessions. It's a great pleasure to be with you, and we are very proud of you, Khadija, being a member of some of the programs that you have mentioned from the Ministry of Education, and I look forward to the rest of the session with you today.
Thank you so much. Your Excellency, if I may, I would like to kick off our discussion with a statistic shared by the World Economic Forum in recent months as part of a Future Jobs report. The report states that 50% of all employees will need reskilling by 2025 as adoption of technology increases. Is this a static that the next generation of the workforce should be worried about?
Well, there are lots of statistics that comes in international reports from different international organizations. And more recently, it's growing more recently, especially with the pandemic and all the changes that happened around the world, talking about the changes that will happen in the labor market in the future. I don't think we should look at this pessimistically. We should look at those changes in the job markets as opportunities. Here in the UAE, our leaders have always taught us that we should always seek opportunities whenever we are faced with new challenges. And that's the challenge that we are all facing, from the younger youth and all the job market labor. The changes that will happen in the future are not something that we can avoid, but something that we have to embrace, and we have to look for opportunities among them. It is great to continue to grow and to continue to learn. And that is what the changes in the job market needs enforce everyone to do and to pursue. So let's look at the half full part of the cup, not the half empty. And let's be more optimistic looking at the changes that are happening, that they are changes that will allow us to grow further in our career path.
Your Excellency, I totally agree with you. I think we all have a duty to look at this in a positive way.
Sure.
In a published print material by Deloitte entitled Preparation for Tomorrow's Workforce for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, it states that businesses in the Fourth Industrial Revolution relates to the rapidly expanding use of robots and process automation, big data to create smarter supply chains, and artificial intelligence for decision making. With a speed of technological updates that often surpasses the speed at which current and future talent can be upskilled and trained, how can the next generation fill the gap between skills needed and skills available?
There will be a continuous change of skills as we evolve and as the fourth industrial revolution evolves and more technologies are being adopted in the workplaces. There will be lots of changes, and that will allow us also to seek new skills, attainment of new skills, and also upskilling ourselves in the skills that we already have. One of the things that we should always keep ourselves open to, we should always keep ourselves open to learning new skills. It's very important that we keep a growth mindset from now on. This is one great lesson that the pandemic have taught all of us. One great lesson is to have a growth mindset, and one main skill that we all should embrace is agility and adaptability. We should always ensure that we are adaptable to new circumstances, where we never settle to one certain area. We should always seek to grow in different areas. Previously, it was mainly about depth in one area, and that was it. It's being very professional in one specific area. Now, it's no more about that. You need depth in certain areas, but you also require the breadth across multiple skills and multiple subjects areas. So this is one thing that we should always carry out with us after the pandemic. Agility and flexibility and adaptability is very important to be able to adapt to the continuously evolving labor market needs.
Thank you, Your Excellency. According to a report by the Global Business Coalition for Education, a network of more than 150 companies, the future could look bleak for 2 billion young people by the year 2030, unless the global business community shows leadership and generates alternatives and solutions for employment creation. What possible solutions do you think can resolve the issue and the threat brought by the fourth industrial revolution?
The main important thing is that youth should keep their choices open. They should not restrict themselves to one specific choice and never consider moving to other careers as they grow through their career paths. Because as we mentioned, with the changes that are happening, there are no certainty. We're living in a continuously changing world. It's what they call the VUCA world, the volatile, uncertain, ambiguous, and complex, highly complex world. With all the changes that are happening, we should keep our choices open. One very important thing is that the next generation should always think about self-employment. The entrepreneurial opportunities are abundant around the world, especially with the changes that are happening. There are always new job or like new business areas that are growing and can have great potentials. And with the skills that the youth should continuously build within themselves and make sure that they have, as they grow through their learning journey and through their career path, they will be able to create job opportunities not only for themselves, but as well for many others. So this is one area that I think is very important to focus on. Another thing is that the feedback loop between the labor market and the educational systems and educational institutions. There should always be a feedback loop. What are the main skills that are required in the job market that should always feed into the educational programs and educational institutes so that they can adapt and evolve their programs as well. So adaptability, it's not only for individuals, but as well for all organizations that are providing training, providing educations, and different learning opportunities for the next generations.
I completely agree with your points. And I think agility will be key to ensure we can adapt to the changes that come our way, both now and in the future. Your Excellency, the fourth industrial revolution has left evident gaps in existing learning systems and job requirements. With existing jobs becoming competitive and new jobs being created through technological innovations. What should the next generation, such myself and our viewers, do to succeed in the fourth industrial revolution?
You should always be proactive. You should not wait for the changes to happen so that you can reflect on yourself and look for the skills that you need to embed that you need to build within yourselves, or the areas that you need to upskill yourself in. You should become proactive and you take the lead into what are the opportunities that you want to seek. One of the things that you have mentioned at the beginning of our discussion, or at the beginning of the session, you've mentioned one of the programs offered from the Ministry of Education, the Game Changers. I know that yourself, Khadija, have signed up for the Game Changer in both its series so far, and you've joined the sustainability program. You're now you joined as well the technology program, and all with partnership with many other entities. It's not totally offered by the Ministry of Education, but Ministry of Education partners with entities from government and private sector to bring the best out for the students. So such opportunities like the ones that you are pursuing yourself is important for all the youth to pursue and to make the best out of those opportunities. The 4IR is definitely coming, and it's going to change so many jobs. Some jobs are going to stop exist, and we'll see many jobs are emerging into the new market, and many jobs that we did not yet think about are going to come into the job market in a few years or even a few months, depending on how fast the changes are happening. So we should not resist that change. We should be proactive and look for opportunities that allow us to adapt to the changes that are happening and allow us to gain the skills that will best support us into being part of the implementation of the fourth industrial revolution. The youth, the current youth, will be the engine that will take this industrial revolution to actual implementation and existence in the world. So we should make sure that all of you, are gaining the right skills and making the best out of all the opportunities, whether it's offered by educational institutes or many other institutes around your countries.
That's true. And what I can say that all the programs I have joined, each one is better than the another one. Actually, I'm so proud that we have this programs and this quality and performance, and I encourage all the students to join them. In real life, you could face many things, and from these programs, you will learn how to deal with it, how to change, and how to even create something innovative. In relation to the fourth industrial revolution, industries have an incredible opportunity and a responsibility to help governments preparing policies, rules, and regulations that will benefit youth and strengthen our future workforce. How can youth take part in this process, being the target beneficiary?
Well, I think that the UAE have done a lot in terms of including the youth in policymaking across many sectors. And we have the Minister of Youth, and we have the councils of youth that have been launching many great opportunities and initiatives that will empower the youth. And the UAE leadership have been embedding the youth into the process of policy making so that we make sure that you are all part of driving the growth of the UAE forward in the next 50 years. And I think that platforms such as Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week and other platforms and programs that the students have been joining in, like the Youth for Sustainability, are great platforms and opportunities that engage the youth and make them part of the process seamlessly without having to know that they might be sometimes contributing to something as big as policy making in certain areas.
Well, that's great. Um, Dual education seeks to ease the transition between education and workforce by providing students with on-lab skills training while they complete their formal education. With this, are future jobs secured for the next generation? And what types of dual education is the ministry offering students to best prepare themselves for the workplace?
I don't think anyone can claim that jobs will be secure. There's nothing nothing that is completely stable and completely predictable in this time. Just like when we faced this pandemic, was completely unpredictable, and some areas of the world were unprepared for this. But alhamdulillah, we in the UAE have been very well prepared for this across many sectors. That includes the health and the educational sector, and also in terms of the economy. And I think there have been a lot of opportunities that the students have been joining in, especially when it comes to internships and apprenticeships that will allow the students to gain the skills required by the job market ahead of time before even they graduate from their degrees. That's why I think it's greatly important to develop programs from different educational institutes to enhance the learning journey of the students with different opportunities, being it career experiences or internships, apprenticeships, and also mentorship. We at the Ministry of Education have developed a program that will take place very soon, and it will include engaging students from different grades, even starting from as early as grade 9, to prepare the students through engaging them with the job market and also with different mentors across different educational and industrial organizations to mentor them and prepare them very well to be admitted and accepted in Ivy League universities across the world. And that will allow the students to gain the best out of those opportunities and also to grow to become much more knowledgeable and skillful in their areas.
Well, this is a great idea. With advances in technology and digital skills in high demand in the fourth industrial revolution, is it time now for the education sector to focus on digital accessibility and literacy?
Well, it has been time for a while now, and the pandemic as well. I'm always going back to the pandemic as an example because I think that the duration of the pandemic have worked as one of the fastest or the most powerful accelerators across many sectors around the world, because all the sectors had to adapt very quickly to make sure that they can provide their services no matter in which sector they are, and continue with their business as usual, since even with the existence of the pandemic. And that's why those technological platforms have become a norm in our life. We cannot avoid using them as we are doing now in this session, and we should continue to utilize them and make the most out of them. The connectivity, the growth that it provides, the opportunities that it provides. We have seen in the past few years a new model in economy, the gig economy, have been growing very fast. And I think with the adaptation of the platform or the fast adaptation of platforms that happened during the pandemics, the youth now has more opportunities more than ever in engaging in this economy and to be actively participating in it. And you see, in the past, people used to graduate, they join the workforce, they work in one job, and they continue working in that job until they retire. Now it's completely different. With the gig economy and also the different opportunities that are available, people keep which is healthy, keep moving from one job to another based on the requirement of the job market and also based on the skills that are obtaining. And the sometimes now people are changing jobs and sometimes they are doing multiple jobs at the same time. And that I think is very healthy because that allows individuals to even grow more and upskills themselves in multiple areas. As mentioned before, the breadth now of skills skills and knowledge areas is very important to keep yourself competitive in the labor market.
And finally, Your Excellency, what career advice would you give me and undergraduate and other young professionals in our audience?
Well, I hope that I can give you an advice that is still going to stand in the future because of the continuous changes that are happening. Well, any advice that we give that is related to the job market might stand or might not still stand in future, depending on the changes that are happening. But one thing that I think is crucial for every individual, whether it is related to career path or to personal choices, is to always keep pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. Sometimes individuals tend to achieve something, and sometimes it is really a substantial achievement, and they tend to relax in their comfort zone that they have achieved or completed a certain certificate or completed a certain university degree or achieved a certain position in job at their job place, or have done any other things that makes them relax and rest and stay in their comfort zone, which does not allow them to grow. Once you push yourself out of your comfort zone, you will start growing, and that's when you learn new things and when you take risks by going into different areas. And another thing is diversity. Diversify your interest, diversify your skills, and always keep yourself agile and adaptable to all changes and make the best out of the opportunities that faces you.
Thank you so much for your valuable feedback. That concludes our discussion with Her Excellency Dr. Amna Dahak Shamsi. Your Excellency, thank you for joining me for this insightful discussion, and thank you so much for this advice. Also, thank you for our audience for joining us as well.
Thank you, Khadija. It's been a real pleasure to have this very nice conversation with you. And it's students like you that make us work and love what we do, and love the result and the outcomes that we see that we see with you, and with all the opportunities that you will also make for other individuals in the future.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.